In at 10, Livestream. On October 24, 2014, a 24-hour Roblox admin stream had ended. Shortly after ending, the admins turned off the camera but unintentionally left their mics on. This resulted in them broadcasting their discussion about how they weren't valued. They also threw some colorful language into the mix. After this, people immediately started uploading this section to YouTube. Roblox tried to dismiss the event by filing copyright claims on all the videos about the event. In an interview on Twitch with David Bazuki, it was revealed that some of the admins associated with the event were fired for violating Roblox's core values. Apparently, being appreciated is against the rules. Jack Smirking Revenge and BitShift were among the ones terminated only days after the event. The recording of the event can still be found on YouTube, but contains slight coarse language, so be warned. In at 9, HSS. While FPS may be the abbreviation for first-person shooter, HSS is something much worse. There are a plethora of games on Roblox dedicated to simulating a school shooting. While for some reason these games are not being taken down, this has resulted in some of the worst conversations in this game. Some kids say they were preparing for tomorrow, and some said that they were reliving their old memories. The fact that these kids are even joking about this is horrific. Shootings are not something to joke about. There are at least 21 deadly mass shootings in the US alone in 2019. And this game was not meant to talk about the problem or try to show you a way around the situation. It was here to be crude and unreasonably themed, and it needs to be taken down. These kinds of things make me angry, and if everyone is going to get mad at Active Shooter for being a game about school shootings, how about a game that is meant for kids ages 7 and up? And at 8, Drugged Up. What if I told you there was a drug-themed game on Roblox that was also removed? Well, turns out that there was. The server previously known as the Clear Bar was created as a teaching tool, showing you how easy it was to get drugged at a bar. The game was made so that you can see that you need to be vigilant when it comes to being out, especially when alone. The users, however, quickly changed it into something twisted and vile. The users began to make it more about drugging as many players as possible, some even claiming that they were using it to train for real life. This server caused a mass ban on players claiming things like these, and one person even got threatened with legal action, this person being the creator of the game. The game was removed and is no longer viewable, but this by far is one of the scariest things I've heard about in this actual game. What if someone was being serious and they really were training? That just terrifies me. And at 7, Roblox Love. Roblox is a game typically targeted towards children, and it allows players to create their own worlds and games for other people to play. However, some players use this to their advantage. Some players created a virtual brothel that allowed players to engage in relations with each other. One search popped up over 1 million results about these X-rated scenes. One incest-themed video featuring a character with a male behind her was called F***ing My Sister on Roblox. The videos feature clear depictions of genitalia, hardcore acts, and group acts among others. Some of the videos had been online for over a year. The worst part is since these videos are so highly rated that kids looking for holy Roblox content may stumble upon them by accident, if the right actions aren't taken to prevent it, that is. YouTube, get on it. And at 6, Party Time. When this user who was going by Beth was playing on Roblox at 3 in the morning, why are you playing Roblox at 3 in the morning by the way, go to sleep. She was the only player on Escape the Disaster. After playing for around 20 minutes, a few more players had joined, but at around 3:45, a group of 40 players had joined, which is weird because the max on a server was 10, but there was already 5 on. But then that group had started typing what looked like nonsense into the chat, but soon evolved into what seemed like ritualistic chanting. One by one, the other players joined, and by the time that the rest had converted, Beth saw her character was joining in as well. It wasn't willingly either. The words just started appearing on screen with her name next to them. She disconnected from the server assuming it was a kid who could hack that was just screwing around, so she went to sleep. In the morning when she turned her computer on, the Roblox tab was still open, and it said that she was banned for violating the terms of service. What the hell were they chanting? It's probably like, join the brothel. And at 5, Papa Bear. Back in 2015, a Redditor going by the username of Papa Bear was with his son after school. His son insisted on showing him his favorite game, Roblox, and all the friends he had on the app. The dad obliged and is sure glad he did. Only a few minutes after opening the app, the boy received a message from one of these friends, asking him to join their game. After doing so, the dad noticed that the game they had joined was for copulation. The other players then began speaking to the boy's character, asking him to do vile things, but the father had already taken the iPad and was furious with what he was seeing. He lost it and was screaming at the other players, saying things like, "This is my 6-year-old son's account, what the hell do you think you're doing? And if the police can't find you, I will." This resulted in the other player leaving and the father reporting them. The player was banned, and so was the father, since the language he had used was against the terms of service. He said he didn't care that he had gotten his son banned because he was going to remove the game anyway. The other player was not in the US, so the police couldn't do anything. However, if that father hadn't been there, oh my lord. Oh, and if that was my kid? Boom. And at 4 blackmail. Laura had come home from a night at the club. When she got home around 2 AM, she decided to play Roblox. She hadn't been drinking and wasn't tired. After playing some epic mini games, some odd player hopped online. They had blue arms, a female face, and male hair. She assumed it was a troll and continued on. They private messaged her and asked if she lived in Canada. She did, but she instead said that she was from England. They said to not lie and kept getting more and more aggressive. She blocked the account and switched games. After playing for a little bit, another account appeared and messaged her the same thing. The same person had made another account to be able to DM her. She blocked that one as well, but they joined again using another account and told her, "I'm warning you." She blocked that account and disconnected. Genuinely concerned, she disabled allowing people to follow you into a game as well as all messaging. She played another game and this person joined again, saying they had warned her. She asked what they wanted, and they said 500 Robux or they'll reveal her address. She said she was going to call the cops and they apologized. She hasn't seen them since. Like some 7-year-old dick who's like, "Oh, I want Robux. Give me your money." And at 3, Daddy. These next 3 are going to make me and you mad. In January of 2017, a mother issued a warning to other parents after her 6-year-old was sent explicit messages from men on Roblox. The 6-year-old was sent a string of indecent messages through the game, all in an attempt to lure her into the homes of older men. She had downloaded the game so that her and her older cousin could play, but she started receiving messages calling her bae and asking them to call her daddy in a game called Superhero Tycoon. One day, the daughter turned to her mom and said, "Mummy, someone's messaged me this morning," and he was asking her to come to his house. She finds it frightening how a total stranger can send messages to kids a quarter of their age or younger. After discovering the messages, she deleted the app, then cried as she grew sick to her stomach. Honestly, I would have too. And if that was my kid, oh boy, there was nowhere in the world you could hide. And at 2, assault. Hackers. We all know about them, but we never really consider them when it comes to games like Roblox. Well, back in 2018, trolls decided to force a 7-year-old girl's Roblox avatar into a sexual situation. This mother was shocked when, while her daughter was playing Roblox on her iPad, she looked over to see male genitalia on screen. She immediately snatched the screen and took screenshots of what was, in essence, 2 male avatars, forcing this avatar to, receive them both. The anonymous players modded the game to give their avatars actual genitalia and used them to assault this avatar. Luckily, the child didn't understand and the mother was able to quickly take the iPad away, but it helps to show the horror of what people can think of. The mother said, and I quote, "This particular user was able to add male private parts to his avatar, take a hold of the victim, throw her down, and thrust his body part in and out, while the other avatar held her head to his genitalia." Disgusting. Both players were banned and the game they were in was also removed. Good, but like, why did this happen? And at 1, groomed. This is one of the most appalling things I've ever read while working here. Our mother revealed that she had discovered explicit pictures that her preteen son had sent to a predator who she says groomed him while playing Roblox. She said she had found a stash of horrific messages between her young son and the abuser when she checked this game, after he had become closed off and withdrawn. They were talking about assault, sexual activities, and pornographic imagery. She also claimed that she was physically sick after discovering that the sexually explicit pictures her son had sent. She had turned on all parental controls beforehand as well. The boy had installed Discord to be able to talk with other people to get around his mother. Therefore, Roblox wouldn't comment and the police couldn't do anything because this offender wasn't in the UK. This is disgusting and I can't understand why people do this kind of thing. This makes me genuinely mad and we need to figure out some form of technology to solve this issue.
And at number 10, letters. You know it's a scary story when you immediately start off with a jump scare. Ooh, so scary. The concept behind this one is that 3 girls decide to play with a Ouija board and exclaim, "Oh my god, bed a bunch of different times until some little girl named Bella starts communicating with them, who is, I think, a ghost. Also, side note, it's not how a Ouija board works. Hands have gotta be on the thing, shit just doesn't move on its own. Come on, Roblox, be a little bit more accurate. You ain't getting no easy suspension of disbelief from me today. So just as shit gets real spooky, all of the girls are like, that's enough, that's fine, let's end it today. But then immediately decide to go against that decision. They then start talking to the dead little girl's spirit again, to which they're all super surprised that she responded, even though she literally responded to them less than a minute ago. The lights flicker, drawers open by themselves, then all the girls go out onto the patio and start blaming one another because these girls are the exact same character basically. There's no distinction aside from how they look. They go back into the house and then there's a demon playing the piano, so what do? They stay inside the house because that makes perfect sense. So they decide to burn the Ouija board and the demon is all like, say hello to Satan for me, and then burns down the house with them inside of it, which is like a really bleak way to end a video. And also doesn't really make sense from a story perspective because we don't know much. Up next, number 9 is Guest 666, Part 1. There's multiple parts. Yay. So what I've learned so far from Roblox scary stories is that just like Roblox sad stories, they're just kind of rotten with bullying as a plot point. I mean, talk about beating a dead horse. So naturally, Guest 666 starts off with a healthy dose of bullying. Some kids get slaughtered by what appears to be a floating Roblox figure coming down a dark hallway. But don't worry, because it immediately cuts back to some bullying. Except this time, it's by some bodybuilding chick who looks like the Hulk with bad hair but isn't green. Then there's a scene in a classroom and the teacher looks like a pimp, actually. And then this character Emily, who we don't really know a lot about, doesn't go home and just stays in the classroom and starts reading a book about a genetically mutated guest, who I guess is like the evil thing that we saw earlier. I don't know. The background music is like really tonally misleading, so I'm having a hard time following. Then Emily gets bullied some more, and then the Guest 666 dude ghost guy shows up and starts murdering the bullies and then tosses this one chick up against the side of a car, which like obviously kills her because that's how you kill people. And then everyone at school the next day is like, you killed that girl, Emily, and then she gets bullied some more, and then there's some more bullying, and then I stopped watching. Up next, number 8, Super Scary Sleepover. Oh my god, look, it's a super fun sleepover. How exciting, yay. Pillow fights, because that's what happens at sleepovers. Here's hoping that all 4 of these girls get murdered. The phone rings and oh look, it's a bad ripoff of a Scream movie. Like they didn't even try, you guys. But just when you think that we're gonna get a childish parody of Scream with this video, it becomes The Ring. But before you can even process that, some ghost girl shows up and then there's like a 5-second rave in their bedroom and no one seems really freaked out by that or bothered. So then they decide to go to bed and then the story becomes Paranormal Activity, I think, because it's like, it looks like this. I mean, come on, if you're gonna rip something off, at least stick with a singular title. Anyway, it ends with a bunch of people showing up and throwing a party in their living room, and then Jason shows up, and then just stick to one thing. And at number 7, The Sad Truth About Bloody Mary. Look, it's a scary Roblox story mashed up with a sad one. How could I ever resist? So this is supposed to be the story of Bloody Mary, who we learn is not actually a folklore legend with roots dating back to at least the early 20th century. Oh no, it's about a girl who's a preteen from the 2000s whose dad was an alcoholic. She also apparently sleeps with her backpack on. Also, there's a Bratz doll in this one who's one of her classmates, and there's like a whole lot of emphasis on whether or not the apple Mary brought to school is organic. Anywho, Mary skips class and a bunch of girls, including the Bratz doll, find her in the bathroom and hug her, and they're all like, we're apologizing to you because we feel bad. But then they just stab her instead, which like really escalated, to be honest. Flash forward to later, and then some random girls are saying Bloody Mary into a mirror, and then Mary's ghost shows up and locks them in, and everything is anticlimactic. Up next at 6, Don't Look Back. So this horror story just jumps right in, and we have a family and a daughter named Jo, who's hanging outside her family's moving truck when some other little snotty brat comes up to her and is like, your house is haunted. And Jo is all like, yeah, whatever, okay. Then it cuts to them all unpacked and they're like, wow, I can't believe we did all of this unpacking so quick. But like, let's be honest, the apartment's pretty much empty, so it's not really that much of an accomplishment. Then Jo takes a shower, hears some noises, and her snotty brat friend decide to go hang out, which like doesn't make sense because why would you hang out with someone who was like a dick to you? And they go up to her room, which is massive for a teenager and twice the size of their living room. Sorry, there's a real lack of realism going on here. Also, what is with everyone's hair in this? So, there's a knock at the door and no one is there, and then the lights shut off and Jo and snotty brat annoying girlfriend both freak out. Then I think Jo goes to sleep and sees a ghost or something, it's a little vague. Then she sees another ghost in her massive bedroom and her parents aren't home and she's like, I'm freaking out, so I'm obviously gonna call my best friend who's actually an asshole. And then they go to the park and Jo's like, I see ghosts. But then she wakes up and keeps hearing noises, and then we jump back in time? And Joe is a little girl now, but like not really, because teenaged angsty Joe is also in the same room looking at the little girl who replaced her, who is the only one in the room who can see her. I don't know. Where does not looking back fit into all this? Because that was the title of the video and I feel seriously misled. And at number 5, Kate. Ooh. This one starts off with a disclaimer. This video is rated PG-13, contains blood, violence, offensive language. This one's another story about people moving into a new house. Bullies, crap parents, and new houses seem to be the common motifs in these. Anyway, the mom kinda sucks and the daughter's name is Kate and she's all like, I hate my new school because some bitch calls her a scrub, actually. Then after school, what do the bullies do? They decide to drown Kate in the girl's bathroom in one of the toilets because obviously they realize she sucked just from one day of class with her. Kate becomes undead and starts quoting Saw and then brutally murders most of the kids, and then one of them throws a knife in her eye and it is the end. And at number 4, Amy. What's with naming these scary stories after basic white girls? Anyway, it's another family moving into a new house, and a reluctant teen named Amy who hates her parents for having her lose all of her old friends and have to make new ones. And apparently characters in this video can teleport. Just like our last number, there's a scene where Amy's the new girl and her classmates all suck and they immediately decide to hate her. First impressions are super important. The kids at the school Photoshop Amy into a really bad Photoshop picture of a stick person, and then they bring her into the bathroom and dunk her into the toilet because this is the only thing that ever happens in Roblox. Apparently then it's Halloween night and the bullies decide to go to Amy's house. They break in, and then Amy loses her shit. No lead up to that, by the way, and starts going on a killing spree, which somehow turns her into a demon, and then cops show up, she's gunned down, and then it's revealed that she's not actually Amy, but psych, Amy just staged it and was totally behind everything, and none of that secret reveal made any sense. Okay, bye Amy. Up next at number 3, Knock Knock. This scary story opens with several intrusive angles of a mom giving her daughter cookies that I guess was supposed to be expositional dialogue about her dad. Anyway, it cuts to the title card. And guess what? Nothing scary happens. Up next, number 2, babysitting. You know it's gonna be scary when the font zooms in and it's all scratched up and it's spooky. Two disgruntled parents are going away for the weekend and leave their kid with a babysitter, who after they tell the babysitter to not let their kid go up to the attic, he responds with, I quote, yeah, whatever. I'm sorry, but like, red flag number 1 right there. Sure, people make stupid choices in horror films all the time, but at least try to write more convincing dialogue. And also, wouldn't you not be okay if your babysitter responded like that? Just saying. Easy way to get your kid killed. Red flag number 2. Don't hire a babysitter that looks like this. Why would you ever leave your child alone with that? So, the kid's name is Nayuki. Kid disappears a bunch and then goes up to the attic and the babysitter follows being like, oh no, you're not supposed to go up there. And Yuki is lying on the floor with her eyes just ripped out of her head and she's bleeding. And the babysitter's all like, oh my god, what's up? And then Nayuki is all like, I'm gonna kill you now. And then there's a to be continued title card because of course. And last but definitely least, in at number 1, Under the Bed. Don't think I quite understand the premise for this one. We start off with a kid and presumably his teacher, but like maybe mother? He calls her ma'am, which could either be a typo for like ma'am or for mom because it's not spelled like ma'am. It's a little deceiving and the relationship between them is like really not clear. So the two of them are waiting for the bus, which doesn't come. So the kid's like, can I come stay at your hotel? Which I'm sorry, if she's your teacher, that's like really f***ing weird. If she's your mom, why is she at a hotel and why do we have no context? Lots of questions. Anyway, stranger danger teacher mom lady takes him to her hotel room, which has the most lavish high ceiling for a hotel that I've ever seen. So I'm sorry, how are you affording that on a teacher salary? Anyway, the kid sleeps on the floor, which is like kind of odd because there's no blankets or pillows, just like straight up floor, and then wakes up and is like, ma'am, mom, stranger, pedophile lady, it's 2 a.m, I want to go out and eat. Which, like, logically speaking, bad choice, nothing's really gonna be open. Stranger danger, sugar mama, ma'am is all like, no, we've got ramen noodles. But the kid's like, F that, let's go out. So they go out and then the kid turns to her and is like, I'm not hungry anymore, I saw a man under your bed. And stranger danger, ma'am, lady, person is all like, what the f? And he explains with, I quote, as soon as I changed my head position, I saw his creepy smile and immediately wake you up. And then we get this wonderful flashback from hell. That's where it ends. And at number 10, the oh dear. This Roblox story is about some creepy as girl with bulging eyes called Jenna, who keeps being terrifying and stalking guys hardcore. So it starts off with a prologue with this weird Jenna girl dating a dude named Jamal and then being super creepy with him and his friends. Then after the opening credits, we see a different group of kids, one of which is a fellow named Z who ends up being stalked hardcore by Jenna. After a weekend of camping, Z gets sucked into Jenna's lure and she ends up following him everywhere, from server to server on Roblox, because this one's a little bit meta. Turns out that this Jenna character has been going around stalking people, forcing them to quit Roblox because of it. So Z and his friend Pan lure her to the school's pool, where she chases them like a shark in the water. After they exit the pool, things get crazier and Jenna grows in size and height and her face becomes all hideous, and it kinda feels like we're playing Outlast 2. Or rather, watching it. Then they all start shouting, "The power of Roblox compels you," and Jenna disappears, and that is it. Up next, number 9, White Man. This is White Man. We get an 18-year-old kid who is contemplating why on earth he sees ghosts and why he's seen them since he was 8. He starts off his tale with his grandma's death and how he cried about it lots, which is like, totally fair reaction to have. But then he goes on to say that he was crying because he saw his grandmother inside of her house after she had died, so she's a ghost, so spooky. After that, he saw a dude out in his yard who was wearing entirely white minus his shoes. It's another ghost! His mother reassured him that he was a good ghost, which is not the kind of thing that your mom should be encouraging if you think about it, just saying. Anywho, this kid continues to see a ton of ghosts and is super traumatized by it for the entirety of his childhood. And then one ghost tries to tell him something, but that gets cut off, and that is... it's it. That's where it ends, people. Structure, friends. We need more structure in our stories. And at number 8, babysitting stories. Yay. This one tells of a babysitter who narrates the story and is looking after this little shitty kid named Matthew. Around midnight, after Matthew has gone to bed, the narrator hears knocking at the front door. Deciding to ignore it, he continues to watch his movie until screams start coming from behind the door, and it sounds like a group of men are outside, begging him to let them in. The narrator looks through the peephole and sees this terrifying face looking back at him, so naturally he calls the cops. The police do a grade A job and tell him that because of the weather, it might take a while for an officer to get there. They tell him to go hide with Matthew. Great resolution. So the narrator hangs up and listens for more knocking, but hears none. He looks outside the front windows and sees that nobody is outside. Then glass shatters in a few of the rooms, and it's clear that someone has broken into the house. The narrator runs upstairs, grabs Matthew, and then hides in the kid's toy closet. They hear the intruders coming up the stairs and into Matthew's room. Then they hear sirens outside, and one of the intruders murmurs, "Oh shit." So what happens next? What's the dramatic climax to the story? The intruders leave. They run out the back door, and the police show up, and then they arrest him. And that is it. Where is the scary? I was promised scary. And at number 7, prank call. This one is about some dude and his best friend Jake. The two of them decide to make a prank call on September 3rd of 2015, which feels like it's unnecessarily specific, but whatever. Midway through describing all of the failed prank calls that they tried to make, which is actually like super pathetic, the narrator also throws in that prank calling was their favorite activity to do together. Yay! And with this particular phone call, they end up not pranking the girl who answers, and they make friends with her, which is confusing because clearly this author of the story doesn't understand how prank calls work. This mystery girl starts calling him and Jake, and then she gets hella clingy, saying that she wants to come over to their houses. Jake then shows up in his room and is like, "Yo, the place that the mystery girl is from is the same place that this girl on the news was raped and killed at." And then he gets a call and it's the mystery girl and she's like, "Wait for me on September 8th, my friend." And they're all freaked out and stuff. September 8th rolls around and then the girl shows up, walks straight into his bedroom and is like, "Surprise, surprise, I'm a ghost." But my favorite part about this story is that at its very end, it says, "This is a true story." And at number 6, wrong house. This story starts off with a shot of a girl lying on a bed underneath a Five Nights at Freddy's poster, so you know it's about to get real spooky. Some chick named Trixie goes over to some other almost identical looking chick's house named Sam. Sam's like, "I'ma get you a glass of water," and also never invites her inside. They just like sit in a park on a swing. She disappears for hours and then returns back at night, and Trixie is like, "Alright, I guess I'll wait for you on this swing set outside for like ever." Eventually she's like, "Screw this, I'm gonna go inside and see what Sam is doing," and turns out she's not even at Sam's house, which like, you think she would know that. That's when Sam calls her and it's like, yo, where are you? My mom made dinner, what the fuck, dude? And then we cut back to Trixie getting a knife thrown at her from this weird imposter Sam. I'm sorry, but did Trixie think Sam lived in a playground? Just want to come back to that point and be like, what the hell? And at number 5, The Voice of House. Good grammar. This one is an equally absurd horror story that centers around a house. Surprise, surprise. The Voice of House, which is already grammatically incorrect, is about a girl who's waiting for her mom to let her inside. And turns out her mom isn't home. But she thought she was, and I guess it's hot outside? Anyway, apparently this girl keeps hearing weird shit since they moved into this house. This includes hearing noises of cats crying that sound like babies, and neighborhood kids who also sound like babies. So our protagonist girl starts to freak out because she realized that there's no way she could have heard all those noises for real since dun 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 her window was closed. When she tells her family, they're all like, nah, you trippin'. And she continues to panic and stuff about ghosts and the house being haunted. Then there's a news report that's like, yo, there's an unsolved murder case going on. Anywho, the main girl ends up getting killed by the murderer whose name is XX Dong. Creative. And that all ties into the weird noises that she was hearing, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense even though the author is really adamant about it totally making sense in the comments. Moving on. And at number 4, Truth or Dare. A group of kids have a house party on a rainy night. Everybody starts dancing and getting crunk, or at least one would presume. I guess they're getting crunk, I don't know. A few hours in the party, a stranger shows up and our party thrower Lana answers the door. The stranger, who straight up looks like Colonel Sanders mixed with a pedophile, is all like, hey, I'm new around here and I saw the party, can I join? And she's like, yeah, sure dude, even though he's clearly at least twice her age and probably a pedophile. Anywho, Predator guy comes in and asks the kids if they want to play Truth or Dare. He starts asking them what their worst fears are. And then when he gets asked Truth or Dare, the stranger gets all weird and gets all like it follows on their asses and tells them that they will die if they don't do this dare, and then runs out of the house and is never seen again. A magical disembodied voice then starts daring everybody to do stuff. Like dance with each other, ooh, big dare. And then they all start dying because they don't want to dance with each other and do other really mundane prude shit. But I guess it's like kind of a big deal if you're like 7 and writing the story. Anywho, all start dying and the first one to go is some chick named Nicole, who gets possessed and then kills herself by jumping off of a balcony. It ends on a to be continued. Please don't. And at number 3, night gaming. This one follows 3 friends making a gaming video for their gaming channel. So meta. After about 2 minutes of nothing substantial happening, a weird pale woman in a red dress who looks demonic appears in the webcam and slides through the room. Thinking nothing of it, they continue to do tests on their computer. They test the audio and what their playback is like, and then when they play back, it isn't their voices, but instead it's an eerie voice that's like, hello kids, wanna play with me? Creepy. Power goes out, they all become total chickens, and the kid whose house it is gets super whiny, and he's like, guys, can you come upstairs with me? Guys, can you all sleep here tonight so I'm not all alone and scared? And after they take a look at the video that they made, they realize that it's corrupted. And that's when Mr. Superstar Whiny Pants over here is like, oh yeah, by the way, my mom said a woman killed herself in my room before we moved in, and that it was all because her husband was cheating on her. And his friends are like, dude, we're scared. Why the hell did you not say anything before now about the woman who got killed in your bedroom when we started seeing ghosts and shit? They all sit in silence and it cuts to a shot of Whiny Pants being all like, thanks for coming over guys, come back soon, and everyone's like, ha ha ha, yeah, totally. Which, as they walk away, they see a ghost in the window who is barely visible if the camera wasn't zooming in. Spooky. And at number 2, Sleepover Episode 1. You can bet your ass that we aren't watching Episode 2. Oh look, it's 2 campers camping in the woods. Bet they're gonna be attacked by a ghost there or a monster cause it's almost nighttime. One of them decides, oh hey, I'm gonna fall off this cliff. And rather than straight up dying, considering it's super high and that probably would make the most logical sense, he just injures his arm instead. So nighttime rolls around and dude is bleeding out and he's still not dead yet, and that's when he hears a crack in the distance. And who's there but some militia looking Slenderman wannabe, who shoots the injured dude in the head. His camper pal shows up and is like, oh, I finally just got down the mountain, what's going on? And sees that this militia creepy dude is right there, who then pistol whips the camper guy. Then there's a cut to some happy dance music, and we're with this kid named Anita and like completely out of the forest. Her parents are going away, and the parents like screw off. And then Anita goes back into her house and is like, hey friends who've been hiding at my house, come on out, let's party. Then some next dude shows up and everyone's like, damn, I want a piece of that. Literally they say that in this. And Anita is like, oh, that's just my neighbor. 11 p.m. rolls around and everyone is presumably getting crunk for the sleepover, and the friends are complaining about having to sleep on the floor. So Anita's just like, sleep on my bed, teehee. They eat a bunch of snacks and then watch a scary movie, and by 2 a.m. they're all asleep except for some chick named Kiki, who then starts freaking out about seeing the hot neighbor next door burying a body. That's where it ends. That's it. To be continued. And then there's an ad for Roblox clothes at the end of it, and I'm like, great. I just personally wasted 5 minutes of my life. Moving on. Finally, number 1. It's called The Beautiful. This one starts off with a long cinematic shot showing off a big ol' mansion, and it's excessive as which almost makes the cutting to the dialogue on the screen like super comical. Anywho, it's about a dude in a suit named Luke who finds out that his wife, who is I'm just assuming she's his wife, she's pregnant. Luke and Luke's maybe wife are super jazzed. Then we cut to 9 months later, Luke's wife has given birth to a baby. But it's not just any old baby. Oh no. As the intense score signals, it's a baby with crossed eyes and an uncomfortable look on its face. Oh no! We then jump to 3 years later, and Luke and his maybe wife are being bullied by some jerk-offs about how ugly their kid is. This prompts Luke to go on a rant that night saying, I don't understand. We are both so good looking, but why does our son look like a monster? Good job dadding, Dad. So Luke and his maybe wife come up with a plan to get rid of their ugly kid. What does that plan entail? Going on a trip and pushing their son off a cliff while he takes a piss, while literally shouting, "Die you monster." Yep. They then call the cops, pretend it was an accident, and the cops don't even bat an eye at it being anywhere suspicious, which it clearly is. 2 years later, the couple have another baby who turns out to be normal. Then that kid grows up. We then flash forward to them all taking a road trip, and when their daughter goes off to pee off the side of a cliff, she says, "Don't push me off that cliff again, mommy. I love you." And that's where it ends. That's where it ends. It's not even